Okay, after that, we're talking about windows and dressing your windows. Now, windows are kind of a transitional element, so to speak. They function as architecture, and they function as other ways to add accessorization to a space in a big format, because it can be draperies, lambrequins, all blinds, shades, all kinds of things that factor into what the ultimate ambiance is that you want to achieve. So, and sometimes you have to change the appearance of the proportion of the windows to better coincide with the room or what you're doing. So sometimes there's things you do that are what I call sleight of hand. You make a window look wider or taller than it actually is, and you do that with window treatments. And so that's an extremely creative aspect to look at with somewhat of an architectural eye, so that that money particularly is invested correctly, because one can spend a lot of money on window treatments. Also, lighting is another big topic that we discuss and help people realize that lighting is important for not only the look of the space, but all the emotion that you promote with it. And quite frankly, you can destroy a room with the flick of a switch. Pretty powerful, isn't it? Many homes, they're designed, people move things in, but never has there been any consideration to how to light that space. Or many people have, placed fixtures or cans, as we call them, in places, and the lighting still doesn't work correct. Well, let's back it off and realize that it's the lamp or the light bulb that does the job. And with every lamp and light bulb, there's different what we call photometrics about it. There's beam spread, there's intensity, there's the color of the light, whether it's an A lamp and incandescent, whether it's par 36, whether it's MR16. They all have different color temperatures. That's why materials will look different. You'll find it in many cases in a jewelry store. They might have low voltage lighting, or these MR16 little tiny bulbs that are mirror faceted, that are balanced throughout the color spectrum, because they want to make that diamond look phenomenal. And as light's put through a diamond, it separates into its respective color bands, which is where we get the rainbow from, and the color circle and all of that. So that's very important. And also the direction of lighting, how it hits a piece of artwork, a sculpture, how it comes down on furniture, all is important, and especially zoning lighting, so that you can enhance different concepts, different moods, different atmospheres at different times of the day. Very important to kind of plan that aspect in as well. Then we talk about coloring your world, and we go into the whole aspect of color. And you've got color, you've got pattern, you've got texture, and how those are all interrelated and how they function together. And there's a lot of things that go on with different color trends and things of that nature. But what we really want to concentrate on is strongly on the individual. And so color trends and fads, well, they come and go. So sometimes when people get caught up into that, I mean, it can be good to a certain point, but then everybody jumps on the same bandwagon, then pretty soon everybody, you and your neighbor, have the same type of look because that's what's hot now. And that's not how, in my opinion, interior design should be approached, because there's a lot more to your environment than just that. So you are a unique individual, a unique person, and therefore it should be approached just as uniquely, just like a tailored suit, just like a special dress that is made just for you and no one else, or for a guy, a custom-made suit, measured and tailored for nobody but him. Okay, so that's how that's how I look at things. I'm very individualistic about this, and does it take a little bit more time? Yes, it does. One could say, well, I'm just going to, you know, do this because that's a hot trend for now, and then everybody is so duplicatable that there's no, I don't know, there's no personalization to that. So you look at all the colors in the world, all the textures and things like that, there's no reason why you can't be unique, as each snowflake is unique. The other thing is textural orchestration. Texture is the greatest modifier of formality or informality. And so that's the one element that is so often overlooked and underutilized. Most people think of color and pattern. Well, that can be nice to a degree, but most people are tactile people. They like to feel and touch things. And the textural orchestration, or the variety of texture, orchestrated just right, brings a strength and a richness to even the most simplest interior. Even if it's a monochromatic color scheme, texture is incredibly important to deliver the end result. And so what we want to do is kind of bring that involvement of people into it. I like to use an analogy sometimes for a newborn baby. Most of the time, you know, women will just hold a baby for a long, long time, and somebody else might want to say, "Oh, let me see him or her," and so they reluctantly give up the baby. But you know, watch closely. A lot of times, you know, women be rubbing the arm or the leg, you know, continuously, and do they ever stop and say, "Oh, I've had enough of that"? Because the baby skin is so soft and just ultra silky, and even the smell of a baby. So these are all things that are important to connect with in your environment. So that's part of what ambiance is all about, that intangible essence. So then after the textual orchestration, we talk about accessorizing. And here, the little things mean everything. And really, you know, what woman would disagree with that? You know, little things mean a lot. So a lot of times, you know, we might be involved in doing furniture plan and furniture selection and all the architectural stuff that goes into it, as far as architectural backgrounds like designing custom moldings and things of that nature, or custom furniture. But at a certain point, you know, many people think, well, I can't handle that part of it by myself, but I can do the accessorization by myself. Well, the accessorization phase is a mini version, so to speak, of the major element that you just finished up. And so the types of things that are selected, the colors, the textures, yes, you want to have personal interest with objects because they personalize a space. But we wanted to personalize that space from the very beginning all the way to the very end. So it's important to look at that aspect, and then how you position accessories. Sometimes they can not say anything, and then you adjust the positioning so they have a closer proximity to each other, and it's just, but they come together like you know, kind of like the Three Musketeers, you know, all for one and one for all, and they make a big impact more than just that individual. So that's why backgrounds come into play again, and backgrounds could be, you know, a cocktail table, a side table. It could be marble, it could be wood, it could be, your eye is looking down on those elements. Just like originally when I talked about the backgrounds were so important. Well, when you look at a space, you know, there's a lot of furniture that you're seeing that the wall and the floor are both a backdrop in your line of vision. So it's important that the color and the texture and everything enhance the fabric on the sofa or the upholstery or the shapes of furniture, whether they be, you know, upholstered goods or case goods or art or sculptures or what have you. So this is very, very important. So a lot of times people will say, oh, I can handle that part of it. But the interesting thing of it is many times they've gotten to a certain altitude, like in an airplane, they've gotten to 30,000 feet, but then they say, okay, let me take over. So together we get up to that altitude, and then they say, oh, let me jump in the cockpit here, and let me jump in the pilot's seat, and I'll take over from here. Well, training has a certain amount to do with keeping everything at stable and in flight at a certain altitude. So it's the same thing here, and I've seen many times where they said, well, I'm going to take over from here, and the whole concept just starts to, you know, go right downhill, like a plane just almost dropping out of the sky. Everything that was developed up to that point is starting to disintegrate to a certain degree. Okay, so it's better to have at least a collaborative effort on that. If not, let the designer handle that and help you through that so that you get the best aspect. And it's just like, it's no different than women selecting a nice, beautiful dress. It's cut, tailored correctly. It's got the right material. It flows. It hangs nice. It's just wonderful. It's like perfect by itself. Okay. Well, then it's kind of like, okay, now we're in. After that, it's the accessorization stage, right? Necklaces, earrings, bracelets, and there's where you got to be very careful, because you can really cause it to the look to kind of fall off a little bit if you're not careful with the quality, the proportion, the size, the scale of different things, and it's so important that you decide from the very get-go what it is you want to really project. Okay, because there's a lot of different things that you can portray by taking that same dress and then putting different types of accessories with it, because that's why some people have that dresses and attire that forms the basis of their wardrobe, or they always look good in black, or they always look good in this particular cut of a dress or a suit or something like that. It just brings out really the very best of them. So anyway, that gives a little bit of an overview of the 12 different aspects that I go through that compose the process of design, from the very beginning of concept to the final completion, and how to get from point A to point B in an unerring, laser-like fashion, so that we going through and the end result is that we hit the target exactly. And of course, there will probably be a little bit of differentiation and changes and things of that be accommodated in that process. But again, once you have the main concept in line, it keeps you in line and on track and on target so much easier. It's kind of, I don't want to say it functions like autopilot, but it's just or like cruise control, but it sure does make the journey a lot more comfortable. So if you have any questions, be glad to answer any questions. I encourage you highly to check out my website. It's www.spectruminteriors-designs.com. All the information is there, and look forward to meeting and talking with you in the future. Have a great day.